أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Continuing Surat Al Dukhan. Today we read Ayah 33, 34, 35. Now we start reading from the beginning of the surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حميم والكتاب المبين إنا أنزلناه في ليلة مباركة إنا كنا منذرين فيها يفرق كل أمر حكيم أمرا من عندنا إنا كنا مرسلين رحمة من ربك إنه هو السميع العليم رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إن كنتم موقنين لا إله إلا هو يحيي ويميت ربكم ورب آبائكم الأولين بل هم في شك يلعبون فارتقب يوم تأتي السماء بدخان مبين يغشى الناس هذا عذاب أليم ربنا اكشف عنا العذاب إنا مؤمنون أنى لهم الذكرى وقد جاءهم رسول مبين ثم تولوا عنه وقالوا معلم مجنون إنا كاشف العذاب قليلا إنكم عائدون يوم نبطش البطشة الكبرى إنا منتقمون ولقد فتنا قبلهم قوم فرعون وجاءهم رسول كريم أن أدوا إلي عباد الله إني لكم رسول أمين وأن لا تعلوا على الله إني آتيكم بسلطان مبين وإني عذت بربي وربكم أن ترجمون وإن لم تؤمنوا لي فاعتزلون فدعا ربه أن هؤلاء قوم مجرمون فأسر بعبادي ليلا إنكم متبعون واترك البحر رهوا إنهم جند مغرقون كم تركوا من جنات وعيون وزروع ومقام كريم ونعمة كانوا فيها فاكهين كذلك وأورثناها قوما آخرين فما بكت عليهم السماء والأرض وما كانوا منظرين وَلَقَدْ نَجَّيْنَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ الْمُهِينِ مِنْ فِرْعَوْنَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ عَالِيًا مِنَ الْمُسْرِفِينَ وَلَقَدِ اخْتَرْنَاهُمْ عَلَى عِلْمٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الْآيَاتِ مَا فِيهِ بَلَاءٌ مُبِينٌ إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ لَيَقُولُونَ إِنْ هِيَ إِلَّا مَوْتَتُنَا الْأُولَى وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمُنشَرِينَ. جزاكم الله. Continuing the tafsir of ayah 19 and what is after it, the story of Musa alayhi salam and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned his life in a way that he is raised in the palace of Fir'aun. And he was raised by one of his wives, Asya, and she was the most wise, the most obedient, the most kind of the two wives of Fir'aun, and this is why he had great respect for her. When she asked him not to kill Musa alayhi salam, he respected her wish, and she was allowed to raise Musa alayhi salam. And we described also how Musa alayhi salam did not want to take the breast of any woman until his own mother arrived, and he took her breast, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this was the fulfillment of the promise to the Musa alayhi salam's mother from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is returning her son back to her. She could not say that she is his mother, but she was working for Fir'aun to breastfeed him, and she was allowed to take him whenever she wanted, to take him home and to keep him there, and she was also taking salary for breastfeeding him. There are so many details about the story of Musa alayhi salam when he was young, but when he grew up, Fir'aun knew that he is not Egyptian, and mostly he was from Bani Israel. When he started to grow up, his shape and face and skin color and hair, everyone knew that this man is from Bani Israel. But since Fir'aun decided to raise him in his palace, he had no other choice than just keeping him as a part of the family. But when Musa alayhi salam grew up, he did not act like a member of the family of Fir'aun. The kuffar, when they have power, they misuse this power throughout history, either in aggressive way that is shown to everyone, or in a smooth way where people doesn't really see that they are misusing this power. You can see this at the time of Fir'aun, like torturing people, enslaving people. This was very clear. And you can see this today also. These superpowers in the world, they are doing something similar, but they are pretending to be supporting democracy. So if they find some oil in some place, they say that they need some democracy. So they go there to support democracy. And of course, they are going there to take oil. So it's the same way of Fir'aun, but instead of doing it very direct and very clear, now doing it in the civilized way, or how it looks to other people. But the prophets are not like this. Yusuf alayhi salam, when the Hyksos were doing dhulm to the Egyptians, he did not follow them, and he treated the Egyptians well. And Musa alayhi salam, he got the chance to be part of Fir'aun's family, maybe to be a prince, because he was raised in the house of Fir'aun, in the palace of Fir'aun. But he did not like to do dhulm. Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was the Aziz of Egypt, he was already a prophet. I mean, he got the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa alayhi salam, when he grew up, when he was a young man, living in the palace of Fir'aun, he was not yet, he did not yet get any message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and did not know that he is a prophet. His mother knew that he will be a prophet, because this was part of the wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to her. Jibreel alayhi salam told her, Inna radduhu ilayki wa ja'iluhu min al-mursaleen. Told her the message from Allah, we will return him back to you and we will make him a prophet. So she knew this, but he did not know this. He did not know that he will be a prophet, but it is part of like the what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in the hearts of prophets. Bani Israel, most of them were bad people. Most of them were bad people. When they need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are like worshipping, we are Muslims, we are, but when they feel that they are in good condition, they start disobeying and going against the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even planning against each other. But the prophets are not like this. So if anyone else from Bani Israel was in the position of Musa alayhi salam, he would just be very happy that he's in this position and will start, will pay all respect and loyalty to Fir'aun to keep this position. An example of this is Qarun. Qarun, he was from Bani Israel. Qarun, he was from Bani Israel. And he was a relative to Musa alayhi salam. In some books, it is mentioned that they were cousins. And in other stories, they were not direct cousins, but a bit far cousins. So they had a family relation that they knew about. And Qarun, his father, was not rich. But when his father died, he did not leave anything except a few sheep. He was a shepherd. So he died in the yearly celebration, which is called in Arabic يوم جلوس الفرعون, the day when Fir'aun became a king. So that all Egypt was celebrating this day every year. This was like the national day of Egypt. So when a new king comes, then the national day becomes the date when he became a king. So his father died one day before, and then in that day, Qarun slaughtered all of the sheep, which is all of his wealth that he inherited from his father. Slaughtered all of the sheep close to the palace of Fir'aun and give to poor people. Why? Because he wanted Fir'aun to ask about this. So Fir'aun knew that there was a man who had very few sheep. He slaughtered all of them. And he said, bring this man to me. And Qarun came and he said, he asked him, why did you do this? This was all of your money. Why did you waste? He said, I'm celebrating your good day when you became a king, because I have respect to you. You are my king, blah, blah, blah. And then, Fir'aun was happy and told him, You want something from me? He said, yes, there is a land in some place and no one's using it. I want to use it. And Qarun was, he was skilled in geology. He had some knowledge about geology. He knew that there is gold in this land and no one knew about it. So Fir'aun gave him this land and he went there and started taking gold from this land and became very rich. And we know about Qarun. So when Musa alayhi salam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the message to Musa alayhi salam, Qarun knew that he's a messenger from Allah, but Qarun supported Fir'aun, not Musa. So Fir'aun wa Haman, the minister of Fir'aun, and Qarun, those three people, they were the worst enemies to Muslims. Qarun, who was one from Bani Israel. So this was like most people from Bani Israel were like this. Whenever they get a chance to get power, to get authority, they betray even their own people for this. But Musa alayhi salam was not like this. Musa alayhi salam, he found how the people of Bani Israel are enslaved by the Egyptians and how they are beating them, how they are torturing them. They were using them in very tough, to do very tough work. So Musa alayhi salam, whenever he sees a person who is oppressed, he supports. And this is part of the fitrah, the correct nature of humans. And all prophets had this fitrah. And the fitrah is, it means that it is something in one's heart or mind that does not need to have a reference to behave like this, like supporting the weak or the oppressed, like being clean, hygienic. This is fitrah. To cut your nails, this is fitrah, for example. You don't need a text from Quran or Sunnah for this. Even if you don't know anything about deen, you should do this. So this is fitrah. So Musa alayhi salam did not have that message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he had the fitrah of supporting the weak and the oppressed. Fir'aun did not like this because Fir'aun was jabbar, arrogant, proud person. He was the one who's enslaving and torturing the people of Bani Israel. He and his family and his army and his soldiers and guards. So he didn't like the way that Musa alayhi salam was behaving. So Musa alayhi salam therefore did not get any special status in the palace of Fir'aun. He didn't get a job, for example, as a minister or as a governor of one of the cities in Egypt. He did not get that because he was not behaving in a way that Fir'aun likes. He was behaving based on justice, not based on arrogance and proudness of like Fir'aun and his people. And Musa alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him very strong power. He was very strong. He was very strong as even 10 men or more. And this was for a reason. This was for a reason. And among all other prophets, Musa alayhi salam was the strongest in physical power. And it happened one day, he saw two people fighting, having a conflict, one Egyptian and one from Bani Israel. And the people from Bani Israel, they understood that Musa is from them. He's one of them, but he had this special status because he was raised in the palace of Fir'aun. So the Egyptian was stronger than the one from Bani Israel, and he beat him to the ground and he was hitting. So the one from Bani Israel started shouting and asking support from Musa alayhi salam. And Musa alayhi salam based on his values, he went there to support the one from Bani Israel. He did not do anything to the Egyptian. He just told him, why are you beating him? And then he pushed him with his finger, go away from him, in his chest, like this. But because of only this push, he killed him. Because he did not know how strong he is. So here we are talking about like a real Superman. He was not flying like Superman in the movies, but in a way, Musa alayhi salam was a real Superman in physical power. So he killed him just by pushing him like this. So he was surprised himself. He didn't mean to do that. And of course, the other man from Bani Israel, he ran away because he didn't want problems. And many people saw what happened. And the Egyptians started saying, Musa killed that man, Musa killed that man. And they went to tell everyone about this. And Musa alayhi salam was afraid because now he committed murder and he can get problems. And in the second day, the same man from Bani Israel, he made a problem with another Egyptian. And he found Musa alayhi salam walking, and he called him again, Musa, help me, this man will kill me. And Musa alayhi salam said, really, you are a man of problems. You are getting yourself into troubles and asking me to support you every time. So Musa alayhi salam, he started talking to the other one, leave him alone. Then he said, Musa, are you going to kill me like you killed the man yesterday? Is it because you are strong? You want to kill everyone? He said, no, I didn't mean that. And while they were talking, a man came who is not from this, who is not from the city. And he said, Musa, I heard in the palace that they are planning to arrest you and execute you. Fir'aun did not like Musa alayhi salam from day one. But he was just keeping him for his wife. And now he got a chance to get rid of Musa. Now he killed someone, and it's a chance to get rid of him. So he ordered his soldiers to go and arrest Musa alayhi salam. And that man warned Musa alayhi salam. He told him, I heard that people in the palace talking about arresting you and executing you. So my advice to you, run away, leave. Leave as soon as you can. So Musa alayhi salam left the city. He went out of the city and he traveled to the east. And he was afraid of what can happen because they may send some people to catch him and arrest him. And he was very afraid of what can happen to him. And he went to the direction of the east. There was a city close to Sinai called Madian. And this was the city where Shu'aib alayhi salam was living. He didn't know, Musa alayhi salam did not know about Shu'aib alayhi salam, but he just knew that this was a city on the edge of Egypt. So maybe no one will try to find him there. And before the city of Madian, there was a big well where the people of Madian used to take water and water their sheep. And then when he arrived there, he decided to take a break and he slept under a tree. When he woke up, he saw that the shepherds from Madian are coming to water their sheep. The well was very big, and they used to cover the well with a big stone. so that the water from the sun is not vaporized. If they leave it without covering, it was very hot weather. The water would vaporize and you would lose it. So that's why they used to cover the well with this stone. About 10 men or more, they moved the stone, and then they start taking water for themselves and their sheep. And Musa alayhi salam saw that the men are watering their sheep, and there are two girls standing away from the men, waiting the men to finish so that they can water their own sheep as well. But the men finished and they did not pay attention to these two girls. So after they finished, they covered the well with this big stone and they left. Now the two girls did not know what to do. They just were staying there crying and didn't know what to do, because if they don't water the sheep will die. So Musa alayhi salam, he decided to help them. He came and he pushed that big stone alone, that more than 10 men were needed to push it. He pushed it alone, and then he asked them, I can water your sheep, and he watered the sheep for them. And after he watered all the sheep and the girls took the water they need, they left, they thanked him and they left, and he pushed the stone back, covering the well. And he returned back to the tree and started making dua. He said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. Ya Allah, I am waiting for the khayr that you will give to me. You know my condition, and I know that you will not leave me alone. I'm waiting for what you will give to me. And this is a very important dua. Musa alayhi salam had yaqeen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let him down, will not leave him alone, because he knew that he didn't mean to kill this man. And he supported a man who was weak. This was his intention. He did not have a bad intention. He had a good intention, but this is what happened. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let him down. And this is the hadith al-Qudusi that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنِّ عَبْدِي بِي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about himself, I will be like my worshipper thinks of me. If you are sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you. And to be sure, your deeds has to be good, because you will never be sure that Allah will accept your dua and most of your deeds are sins. But because Musa alayhi salam knew what his deeds were, and he had yaqeen, so his dua meant this. He did not say, Ya Allah, help me. He said, Ya Allah, I am waiting for your help. So he knew that Allah will help him for sure, but he was just waiting for it. He wants this not to wait long. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help came to Musa alayhi salam. The two girls came back. He found them coming back, and they were very shy because they were very polite. And actually all the Muslim girls, the Muslim women and girls should learn from how these girls were behaving, because they were raised by Prophet Shu'aib alayhi salam. He came and they stayed away from him, and they said that our father, he is inviting you to thank you for what you have done for us. He's inviting you to come to our home to thank you to thank you himself for what you have done for us. And then the story of the meeting between Musa alayhi salam and Shu'aib alayhi salam starts. There is a question here, which surah this in Surat Al-Qasas. Surat Al-Qasas. And Surat Al-Qasas has the most organized part of the story of Musa alayhi salam. The story of Musa alayhi salam is divided in many surahs, starting from Surah Al-Baqarah. And the largest portion that is organized, events organized, not everything, is Surah Al-Qasas. There is also Surah Al-A'raf, Surah Taha, but each of the surahs has a small story from here, a small story from there. But Surah Al-Qasas has the longest portion of the story of Musa alayhi salam, and this dua is in Surah Al-Qasas. Any other question? نميك دعاء إن شاء الله. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على محمد في الأولين، وصل على محمد في الآخرين، وصل على محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا، ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، وانصرنا على من عادانا، ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا، ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا منتهى أملنا، ولا تسلط علينا من لا يرحمنا. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين، واكشف الهم والغم والكرب عنا وعن المسلمين. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك، وأغننا بفضلك عمن سواك، ولا تحوجنا ولا تذلنا إلا إليك. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان، ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا، وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. وصل اللهم على محمد وآله وصحابته وتابعيه بخير وإحسان إلى يوم الدين.